It's all fun in the sun, but there's nothing fun about this. And sunburns have serious consequences later in life.
A severe sunburn when you're a child can increase your risk of basal cell, squamous cell, and melanoma. And so when we interview patients, sometimes we'll ask, how many blistering sunburns have you had in your lifetime? And each one of those blistering sunburns would increase your risk.
Dr. Baja Mikulski is a dermatologist with Washington University physicians working closely with Siteman Cancer Center. One of her top concerns for youth in Missouri, tanning beds.
Right now in Missouri, there's very little regulation over tanning bed exposure. And so if you're under 18, if you get a parent signature once a year, then you can go tanning. Tanning bed exposure significantly increases your risk of all skin cancers. So basal cell, squamous cell, and melanoma in a very, very scary way.
Mikulski examines patients of all ages, looking for moles or spots that show signs of cancer. Or it could be something to keep an eye on.
The one that most are familiar with is this melanoma. So melanoma is always the scariest type of skin cancer. We talk about the A, B, C, D, E's of melanoma. So A is asymmetry, B is borders.
So like a stage 4 melanoma could be deadly. However, if melanomas are caught early, they are very treatable.
Studies show that men are more likely to die of melanoma than women at any age. By age 50, men are also more likely than women to develop melanoma. By age 65, men are 2 times as likely as women to get melanoma. By age 80, men are 3 times more likely than women.
So men tend to do worse, and we have found that with melanoma, they don't do as well when they're diagnosed with a lot of different types of skin cancer. And that's actually a study that we're working on.
Mikulski says studies show differences in habits between men and women. She says generally men are not as proactive as women with applying sunscreens and having regular skin checks.
Men's habits did not necessarily lead to having more advanced disease. So there's something more biological than just behaviors. However, I do think it's something that we could work on in our behaviors.
Because Mikulski believes lifelong habits with sunscreen and skin checks will help men.
Especially from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., those are the peak hours of sun exposure. And so your hands are going to be at risk if you have them on the steering wheel. Your face, especially on that left side. So we've seen truck drivers, and they'll actually do a side-by-side comparison. Their left side ages much faster than their right side. And then we also know that pilots are at increased risk for skin cancer because they have so much sun coming in through the dashboard.
Dr. Mikulski encourages all adults to have skin cancer screenings, as well as some teenagers if parents have reasons for concern, to help develop good lifelong habits. The most basic skin cancer prevention starts with sun protection.
Both are broad spectrum, SPF 44 for this UV replenish, but then this one is SPF 40.
So there's so much that's changed in like the last 2 years because they've been doing research on all of these like mineral and chemical sunscreens. The chemical sunscreens, there was controversy over whether or not you might actually be absorbing it in the bloodstream. And basically, like in the US, our study on sunscreens is really delayed compared to places like Europe. So I usually recommend a mineral-based sunscreen. So usually zinc oxide or titanium dioxide.
Mineral sunscreens may be more expensive, but there are benefits.
No, they're safe. And they have microionized forms of them. And so they can go on easier, not leave that white tint.
But she says any sunscreen will work.
That any sunscreen that patients will wear every day because they're going to put it on every morning. And so doing that before you put makeup on, and anything over 30 SPF is great.
For children, having moms and dads chasing them down with sunscreen can be daunting.
So usually UPF clothing is more helpful. So that's actually clothing with built-in sun protection, good for swimming or good for outdoor activities. And that's better sun protection.